Hey, what's up, everybody? Are you trying to change but don't know how? What? Anyway, sorry. Trying to do like the hook thing. That's like, yeah, if you're gonna do videos, you gotta have a catchy hook. Well, here's a catchy hook, right? I don't know if that's catchy, bro. Anyway, hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another video with me. Yep. Today we're gonna be talking about the align method. The align method is something that I have been working on consciously for about a year and a half and unknowingly for basically my whole life, and especially the last 15 years. Um, I almost overdosed when I was 21 years old, and that led to having a near-death experience and the loss of a certain role and identity. And then I started seeking knowledge and wisdom and understanding and God and spirituality and life. Basically, I was just trying to find more peace within myself and more psychological stability. And what I have learned over the last 15 years that has really helped me in my own life is a combination of, different frameworks, philosophies, ways of thinking, these different fields of thought. So let's say that there are different fields of thought. A field of thought would be something like psychology. Psychology is a field of thought. Spirituality is a field of thought. Philosophy, another field of thought. Business, another field of thought. Education, another field of thought. Okay, so there are all these different fields of thought. And what I've done over the last, 15 years or so, I got a bachelor's degree in physical education, a master's degree in education, a master's degree in Vedic science or consciousness and human potential, a master's degree in screenwriting, and then I started doing a PhD in transpersonal psychology. And when I was doing that PhD in transpersonal psychology, I started recognizing a pattern amongst all these different fields of thought, whether it's philosophy, psychology, spirituality, neuroscience, education, all these different things. They have things that overlap when it comes to human development and human transformation and removing suffering and becoming more healthy and happy. And what I've done is I've kind of synthesized that into a framework that I call the align method. And it's kind of a combination of all these different fields of thought. It's a combination of philosophy, psychology, education, personal development, spirituality, and neuroscience. There's a lot of research to back all of this stuff up. That's what I'm going to be talking about today is the method that I created. It's called the align method. And the A stands for awareness. The L stands for locate, talking about limiting beliefs, core wounds, developmental traumas, conditioning. Integrate, meaning we need to learn how to process and heal those emotions, those core wounds, those limiting beliefs, those traumas, recognize the conditioning, and then heal from that. After that is G for generate. Once we've processed our emotions, we need to generate a new identity. Who do we want to become? And then N for navigate. So learning how to live with this new identity and how to navigate the world in a new way. So the align method is a 5-step framework, 5-step process. And it's not something that you just do once and you're all done. It's more of an iterative process. It's a process where you come back to it time and time again with more awareness, with more ability to sit with your feelings, recognize limiting beliefs, recognize your core wounds, recognize your conditioning, your programming, and where that all came from, healing some of those things that need healing, learning how to process those emotions, and then generating a new identity. And this is something that we continuously come back to and ask ourselves, am I still in alignment? That's the cool thing about this, is that it's an acronym and it means to be in alignment with your true self. Isn't that f***ing awesome? I know. Hey, bro, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. So all I'm trying to share today is just a brief intro. And then in later lessons, I'll go into each letter more specifically. But basically, each letter is a framework or a philosophy or a step in this process of transformation. And it's important because we can go through this process at any time. But I think there's a lot of different practices that people have that keep them kind of pigeonholed. For example, awareness, different practices like meditation, breath work, journaling. This is just part of that process. This is just the first step. We need to be aware of things. We need to be conscious of where our thoughts, our feelings, our behaviors come from. And until we're conscious of that, it might dictate our behavior. And we might just go with the flow. This is just who I am. So we need to become aware of it first. But just because you meditate doesn't mean you're going to be able to change. It takes action, it takes effort, it takes processing, it takes these other steps in that framework. And the other steps have different practices that we can apply so that we can actually integrate that change, that healing, that growth. You know, one of my favorite steps in this was when I first learned about identity and belief transformation, I was like, let's go, vision board, goal setting, positive affirmations. And what I realized was I was just trying to escape my old pain, escape my past, and put a new identity on an old, wounded part of me, on a wounded part of my beliefs. I was trying to overcompensate in my new identity for what I felt like was not good enough. So one of the things that I'll say when I teach this method is you can't put a Band-Aid on a bullet wound, okay? If you've got some emotions that you need to process and heal, you can't just throw on a new identity and expect that your behavior in your life will change. You will always fall to the level of your identity, who you believe you are. That is what will drive your behavior. And in order to live and embody a new identity, we have to heal from the past. We have to be aware of it. We have to locate it, identify, oh, this is that belief. This is that core wound. This is that pattern. This is my conditioning. Heal from that. Sit with it. Journal about it. Talk about it. Write about it. Do some somatic experiencing, some breath work, some yoga, some shaking, some movement. Exercise those demons. This is a process that takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. So be patient with yourself. But then we have to generate that new identity and take some action. Take some baby steps in that direction, because action is what creates proof that we can change, that we can do this. But it's important to set, achievable goals for yourself, not just, go from 0 to hero all in one leap. No, baby steps, man, baby steps. Come on now. Anyway, that's basically the intro to the Align method. And I'm going to show you some of the slides. I'm kind of just rambling right now. Let's see. Many people have heard conceive it, believe it, achieve it, but one of the main missing points in that is to go from conceive it, which is visualize it, to believe it. Sometimes it's really difficult to make that leap. So we have to give ourselves some actions we can take, a small action step you can take, because those actions generate proof of what we believe about ourselves. Okay? So you have to basically give yourself these little confidence boosting actions that you can take to reaffirm that new identity. But again, it comes down to awareness, making the unconscious conscious. There's a beautiful quote here. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. So becoming conscious of your thoughts, emotions, behaviors, identifying patterns. There's different practices. There's different awareness practices that you can develop. So what I suggest when I teach this framework is that you have practices for each letter. All right. And each practice does something. It will either increase awareness, help you locate your patterns, help you integrate and heal, help you generate a new identity, or help you navigate once you've already generated that new identity. So the practices for the awareness are right here: meditation, journaling, thought labeling, body awareness, digital awareness, key insight. You can't change what you're not aware of. Most people unconsciously live out patterns they never chose. Next, we've got locate, identifying the root cause. The first principle is that you must not fool yourself, and you are the easiest person to fool. We can live with limiting beliefs, core wounds, patterns that we picked up from conditioning, parents, teachers, society. And if we don't question them, if we don't ask ourselves, where did this belief come from? It might dictate our entire life, our behavior, our feelings, our thoughts in the future that we live. So it's important to start to locate and identify the root cause of where your thoughts, feelings, beliefs, conditioning, patterns came from. There's different practices you can do to become more aware of this. Asking, where did this belief come from? Doing a little belief excavation. I created a worksheet on that on one of the other videos. You can check that out. 12-step journaling process that you can go through to identify where your beliefs and identity came from. Identify triggers. What triggers you? That's usually something pointing to a belief that you have that, or some trauma that you have that might be dictating your behavior. Inner child reflection, pattern recognition, writing limiting beliefs. Okay, these are all just a few practices you can do to help locate those core wounds, developmental traumas, limiting beliefs, things like that. Key insight: you see reality through your identity lens. If you don't locate the root, you'll keep repeating the same patterns. If you keep planting the same seed, you're going to get the same fruits. You need to realize, what seeds are we planting? The seeds we're planting are our beliefs. It's important to identify and excavate what our beliefs are and realize where those beliefs came from. Once we are aware of that, then we can choose if we want to plant new beliefs. Integrate, learning how to process emotions. This is the hard part, and this is where most people want to jump over, because this is the part where you actually have to do the emotional work. You have to feel the feelings that are unprocessed. You have to heal that deep stuff that is hard to feel. Okay, we got to feel it to heal it. You got to name it to tame it. So feeling, processing, accepting emotions instead of avoiding them. Here's a nice quote: what you resist not only persists, but will grow in size. Little story for this: if you let a weed grow in your garden and you don't pull that weed right away, it's going to grow. And more weeds will sprout and more weeds will grow. And it'll just grow and grow and grow and overtake the whole garden. We have to be able to locate these we have to be able to sit with our feelings so that we can identify what those feelings actually are. Because usually what happens is, on the surface mind, we're trying to avoid and distract ourselves. But when we sit and we silence the mind, we feel some of that deeper stuff. And it can be difficult to feel that. But it's important that we recognize, okay, I'm feeling this. Why am I feeling this? And you just let yourself feel it. Where is it felt in your body? Where is that felt in your experience? Okay? Starting to name those feelings gives us more emotional intelligence and the ability to sit with our feelings and not try to avoid them. When we can just sit with loneliness or sadness, grief, when we can just breathe and let the anger come and let it fall, when we can just let these different emotions come and go, and we can watch them like clouds in the sky just passing by. They don't stay. It's like weather. It comes and it goes. Emotions are the same way. They come and they go. We have to stop avoiding them, suppressing them, repressing them. Learn how to sit with them, be with them. What do they have to teach you? Ask those feelings questions. So these are some practices you can do to understand your own emotions. Okay, emotional processing, just sitting with it. Breath work, we'll talk about that. We'll do a whole different technique on the 4-6 breathing technique. Somatic release, movement, shaking, self-compassion, talking it out, therapy. These are all different practices to help process emotions. What you resist persists. You can't force a new identity on top of unprocessed emotion. You can't put a Band-Aid on a bullet wound and expect everything to be okay. We got to heal it. Again, I spent a little extra time on that one because that's the one that a lot of people have a hard time doing. I know for myself, that was a hard one. As a man, sometimes it can be difficult to admit that you have feelings. You always try to be strong for other people. You always try to be tough and masculine and try to lead by example and not show weakness. And I think for me, when I was in my younger years, teens, 20s, I had a lot of ideas of who I was supposed to be as a man. And I think I suppressed a lot of my feelings and emotions. And I think that led to a lot of issues. So now I'm more capable of feeling my own feelings, learning from them, and I think that has allowed me to be more emotionally intelligent and mature and conscious of my thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. I'm much more emotionally stable now. That's good news. Anyway, for anybody out there who has a hard time feeling your feelings, like it's a strength to be sensitive enough to feel your feelings. Obviously, you do not want to be, emotionally like always boo-hooey. You know what I mean? You don't want to be a crybaby and a negative Nancy and all that stuff. But you got to be able to feel your feelings and then recognize what you can do about it. All right, next, generate, building your next identity. This is the part where things get fun. Once you're doing that level of healing and you start feeling better, sometimes your new identity It's something that just comes about naturally. As you let go of those old beliefs, those limiting beliefs, those core wounds, the real you starts to shine through. You don't have to choose something that's too grandiose. The real you will just start authentically and naturally showing up as you start to heal those deeper parts of yourself. But you can, if you need a little help, generate a new identity. Ask yourself, what qualities and characteristics do I want to embody for myself? What I've discovered is that people that I admire, that's usually a hint. If I see a person and I'm like, oh, wow, I really admire that person. Jealousy and envy, those could be used too. Even those are considered negative emotional traits. Those are signs of someone you admire. If someone is wealthy or influential, or if someone has a certain skill that you want to develop, if someone's very good at public speaking or performing or singing or whatever it might be, acting or sports, or if someone's a good mother or father, those are different qualities that we can also embody. So we can choose those qualities. We can choose those identities that we want to affirm into our lives. So generate, whether you think you can or you can't, either way, you're right. Intentionally choosing and building a believable next version of yourself. That's the whole point of generating a new identity. Practices, affirmations, visualization, acting as if, mental rehearsal. Okay, I'll go into this in a later video where we go into all these different practices and I'll walk you through them. You can see here I got a vision board. Those are different, things that I want to do. 2 of them are movie or TV show ideas that I want to act in or write. The other ones are, directing, filmmaking. That's writing and teaching and researching. That's a TV show I'm working on. That's a movie I wrote, or I'm a pirate. That's me at my core, my true self, meditating, one with everything. That's awareness. That's public speaking, and that's leading retreats. So you can see I created that vision for myself. And those are all things that I'm embodying with the actions that I'm taking. Okay, so that's what we'll talk about too with generating. It's not just about positive affirmations and not taking action. You have to take action. You have to give yourself proof that that new identity is something that is real for you, believable for you. You don't jump into a new identity. You build it through small aligned actions that make it feel real. So what I'm doing with my TV show right now on YouTube, Showrunner, that's right there. That's Showrunner. I'm making the film myself. I'm writing it. I'm researching it. And I'm doing these videos, writing and researching. So I'm already living, and I meditate every day. I'm already living like, boom, 1, 2, 3, 4 of these. So I'm giving myself that proof of the new identity I'm stepping into. And this stuff isn't that far off for me, because this is stuff that I've been working on consciously for many, many years. Navigate, taking aligned action. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Taking aligned action and adjusting based on real world feedback. There's different practices, goal setting, and taking action towards those goals. Iteration, meaning we learn, we adjust, we course correct. Okay, so we self-reflect, we self-correct, we self-direct. Habit building, developing healthy habits of the person you want to become. You want to be more fit and more jacked. You got to develop an exercise routine. You got to eat healthier foods. You got to get enough sleep. Maybe quit the drugs and alcohol. There's certain things that you can do to move in the direction of that identity. So you have to recognize what habits that you want to develop for the identity that you want to embody. Decision making from identity, not from fear. And then tracking your progress, realizing that you are capable of growth and that you are growing. When you realize that you are changing and progressing and growing in a direction that you're consciously choosing, it is one of the most rewarding things in the world to realize that you are directing the course of your life. You have a sense of agency in your own life. It's a very rewarding feeling. Yes, obviously, we don't have control of all of the outcomes, but we have control of the actions we take and how we respond to life. We have the freedom to choose how we respond and how we act in this life. We don't always control the outcome, but we can have some control over our perspective, the freedom of choice, how we choose to respond. So the key insight, action creates belief. Every action you take is a vote for who you are becoming. You build your new life one step at a time. So this is a summary of the Align method. Awareness, locate, integrate, generate, navigate. There's different questions. Basically, one question for each thing. What am I thinking, feeling, and doing? Where is this coming from? Can I feel and process this without avoiding it? Who do I choose to become? What action aligns with that identity right now? So, my question for you, who do you want to be? What action can you take today to become who you choose to be? It starts with awareness. It starts with locating some of those limiting beliefs. Where did your beliefs come from? It starts with healing that. You got to feel it to heal it. Then you can generate a new identity and learn how to navigate that. If you want to check out some of my other videos, you can do that. Understanding human behavior and the identity, the architecture of who we are. Those are very good foundational videos to start to understand yourself and where your beliefs came from. So I would suggest watching those. After that, you can watch the 30 Habits in 30 Days. Learn how to develop some healthier habits. All right. So there's plenty of videos for you to watch that I've created on this channel. The Showrunner TV series that I'm creating on this channel. That's another way. If you want to learn with a little bit more education and humor, that's a great way to do it too. So you're not just mindlessly watching TV. I'm trying to create educational entertainment. So it's a mockumentary style television series that you can watch for yourself. It's right here. Showrunner on my YouTube channel. Check it out. All right. Also, I do coaching around identity and belief transformation. So if anybody's interested, I can teach you this Align method. Feel free, set up a free call with me on my link down there, and or DM me so we can talk and figure out if you want to change, how I can help. All right. My next videos that I'll be creating will be going one letter at a time in the Align method, starting with awareness. So next week we will be coming out with the Align method awareness video. Thank you, everybody. I wish you the best. God bless. Good luck. See you on the next one.